Hello everyone, it's Uizu Echo here. So today I wanted to do a video. So I participated in the call to action contest with my comic No Vestige. To give an overall description of my comic, it's about a simple carefree guy who loses all he cherishes when a fragment falls from the sky, forcing him to be everything he never wanted, a hero. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about in this video is about a few things about what I did during this contest. And what I would probably do, or some tips I would give to do better. So I'm going to take my own comic as something to review, though hopefully maybe it can apply to anybody else who maybe participate in this contest and wants to do a little better, or for somebody who maybe hasn't even done their comic, maybe they're thinking about doing it for the first time. I think this could also help. So first I want to talk about about the popularity. Well, my comic obviously, it didn't do very good. Well, I'm not very well known comic artist right now, and I just started with doing some videos. Personally, I feel I also didn't really promote it as much as I would have liked to on social media, which I feel like it also brings a lot, or could bring a lot of people in. And then another part is that I'm also not really known for being in the action category, since I've made like 2-3 comics before, and they were mainly romance. So obviously, well, this was my first time doing a action type comic, which it was a challenge, but I think I really kind of liked or enjoyed making this comic. So with the teen of popularity, I saw a few other creators talk about this, that they weren't getting a lot of popularity due to being action, since Webtoon is mainly known for being like romance, and I've also seen a bit like thriller based, or the ones that most people like to look at in the comics. So action, it's a little bit difficult to get viewers, I would think, in the action category. But overall, I think I didn't do too bad, considering that I'm not of a creator that usually does of the action type comics, which I think that was actually kind of good. Yet still, I probably would have liked maybe a little more, but I'm happy, I think, with how I was able to do it, despite the fact that it was my first time doing an action comic. So now going more in detail to how I did this comic. Well, first I did it with a friend of mine. And first we worked on the overall story, which is basically the description of the story. And I think this is an important part, because this is like the part where we can see like how long would we want the story to be, how many episodes possibly we would make, and how many characters and how much would be involved in making this comic. And then was the character concept, which mainly we just did for the first episode, the character concept of the characters that would appear, and which is mainly just the main character and a few of the enemies, monsters that would appear. With the character, first I just only made his appearance first, because I had like almost no idea how exactly we wanted to make his personality or what type of character he would be. And well, doing by his appearance is almost what I based off of how to make his personality. I see like as a person and then it was part of the story and how it would affect according to his personality. The second part was the concept for the enemies monsters, which it was a little difficult, because I had to do a very long study about dog anatomy, because there's a character that appears as like a wolf kind of type monster, and well, I had no idea of how to make a dog or draw a dog. So I had to study a lot to make a kind of decent. I feel like I still could have done a little better in that aspect of drawing the dog, but I feel like I did it pretty okay. A second part was setting of how the world would look. Since this is set like as if a kind of almost alienish invasion type, where the world would first look like a normal city type world, and then after it would have like a more gradually, as the story keeps going on, a more destroyed buildings and more like rugged or rustic type look, like like a more uninhabited type look. And then after that, the 14 we started working on was the character story and his motivation, like how it's described in the it's said in the description. He's a carefree guy. He doesn't really aspire to be much, or he wants to live like a quite simple, normal life. How this affects in the story, or the way that the story of what happens affects him, is that, well, this is obviously not possible. And I think setting of your character's story and their motivations, and having something that it doesn't go their way, or something that puts in a challenge for them, is one way of developing a story. I wouldn't say it's the only one, but I think it's quite a way for developing like a story to keep on going. Another thing to save time that I did was make reusable materials. And what I mean when saying reusable materials is like making formats, like example when making the fragment or making the spaceships and a few of the buildings and stuff, even in a bit of the crowd. I made them beforehand so I could reuse them in various panels to make it easier to save a little bit of time, because it would be something that I would be using quite a lot of things that I believed I would be using. I think that's like a viable idea if you're planning on making a comic, to think about things like that for when you're planning your comic and seeing you really want to save time the most you can. And so that is one of the ways you can do it. And it does save a quite good amount of time. The next thing was working on the storyboard. In this, we did have a lot of difficulties because it's 2 people working on this. Well, I was mainly doing the drawing and the other person the story, but I was also helping with the narrative and dialogues. It was a little difficult because like when it's 2 people, it's sometimes that thing of knowing exactly, like to know what the other person is trying to do. And plus we were doing it like at distance, like on video calls or chats, because during that time we couldn't be in person as much. That was a little bit of a challenge also. We ended up redoing some parts of the storyboard. Originally we had a different type of monster that he would fight against in the beginning, yet we decided changing that for the wolf type thing, because we saw it as something like a little bit more towards the type of way that we were planning on doing the story. So I think that was a good idea what we did there. And then lastly, of the things that I feel like was important that we did was the part of making the design for the title. This I had a very, very hard time because I've had like a little difficulty making the designs for the titles. But I think when making a design for your title, it's good to have an idea of like what you want the story to be, and of what you kind of feel like would represent the story overall. And like what I feel with this story, like the main focus point besides the main character would be the fragment. And so the fragment and the spaceships, of course. And so I kind of made something that reminded me of this. And so I kind of based it off. So I would consider, like, if you're making your comic, or making your comic, think of what you feel like represents your comic overall, or objects that you feel like you could relate to it, or something similar to it. And so yeah, that's that's overall of what I feel like we did, and that I think we kind of did an okay job doing. Though personally, there's other stuff that I would try doing better, and these things that I would try doing better probably for next time, for the second episode, or maybe applying it on another one of my comics, would be the pacing. Like, I feel like also this happened in a lot of other comics of ones I was able to read, that due to it being a limited amount, that they let us know that there's like a limited amount of how many images or pages we could upload. So we tried to put in as much as we could, and for that same reason I kind of felt a little too fast paced, like things were happening a little too fast. And at the same time, like, I would have probably wanted to put a little more story building up for the plot, like towards the beginning, to like when the with the character and the part with his family. Like I want to show more of how the personality before everything happens of the character. Yet also due to the limited amount of images we could put up, I kind of let go of that part. But I feel like that's something I would have liked to add on. Another part is I feel like I could have made things a little more clear, like the fact of what the fragment or what is the fragment, or that it's a fragment falling from the sky, and the same with the spaceships. I feel like it wasn't totally clear, like, oh, this is a spaceship, or oh, this is a fragment, or what is happening here. Like some things are a little like up to the viewer sometimes to kind of figure it out. So I think I probably would have worked a little bit more on that. Another point would be I felt like I could have done a little better with the bubbles in the font and the dialogue. I kind of felt a little bit stiff, the dialogue, when rereading it a little bit. And the font, I kind of feel like I used a little too many different types, so probably I would go a little down on that. And the bubbles, I usually have another way of doing bubbles, but I decided to try it a little different this time. But I'm not sure if I'm totally like it yet, or you could let me know down in the comments if you read my comic of what you think about the bubbles being used that way. But personally, I think I could find another way to do it where it shows a little bit of better quality. So that is something I would like to work on. And lastly, I think the part that really kind of annoyed me, or like kind of icked me a bit, was the part at the end where it shows kind of like a skeleton-ish, where I feel like the character looked a little wonky. Like I feel like I could have worked on his concept of the character a little better, the enemy, because I kind of did that very rushed. Like he had another concept like idea, like something's a little like up to the viewer sometimes to kind of figure it out. So I think I probably would have worked a little bit more on that. Yet I decided to like do it a little rushed, and I think I didn't stay very happy with how he ended up looking. But despite that, I think the episode kind of stayed okay. But yeah, that would be the only thing. Like I definitely say I'd probably change that part. But I think overall I did okay. Yet I think it is quite very hard to get viewers or subscribers also, especially if you don't like promote yourself on social media, or you're not already from that you already have like an established comic beforehand, or you know like or if you already have like viewers. So yeah, that was a little difficult, but I think I quite enjoyed participating in this contest. And let me know down below if you guys made any comic to participate in this contest. I would love to read it. I was thinking maybe possibly of doing a video of reviewing some and putting up some of my ones that I personally liked the most out of this contest. I still just started reading a few, but there's a lot of entries, so it's very hard to go through all of them. But if you're watching and you made one of these of the comics that it for this contest, I'd love to read it, and let me know in the comments below. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for your time, and hope you have a nice day. See you all. Bye bye.